decks and 2 new players in the feature match area.
Someone's version of a deck we might have already saw today. But yes, a couple of new players to the stream. We have, as we were mentioning, one of our local players, Tyler, has brought the Sultai Terror list, and we also have Sunway on Red Deck Wins.
Yep, so let's jump over to the feature match area to see if these players are ready to go. Looks like that they are resolving mulligans right now. Tyler over on the right is on that Sultai Terror deck, rocking the Tolarian Terror, rocking the, I think it's Eddymurk Crab is the name of it, and then rocking the Up the Beanstalk for the original Discount at Big Enough package.
Yeah, the being able to just like bounce your Beanstalk back to your hand while also on cast drawing a card, like for at minimum is kind of crazy. When you also have the Stormchaser talent that you can continue to reuse as well as a bunch of other value cards, it just becomes a really powerful, really powerful engine. This is the deck that really kind of solidified the fact that, like, no, it wasn't just this really cute engine you could make with the otters. It's just a powerful core of cards that you can bring from deck to deck and make entirely new archetypes, which you then see the rise of Pixie, Dimir Bounce, and all that stuff. And, you know, people were even throwing it in Jeskai Oculus.
That's true, yeah. And we wind up seeing now on Sinway's side the Red Deck Wins version of the deck. Looks like this time around, though, not necessarily going to be the same run-of-the-mill cards you normally see. We didn't see goblins, we didn't see lizards, and we didn't see mice. We see good old Monastery Swiftspear.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Sunway plays a little more of the typical prowess-style Mono Red Aggro, so I believe he has some of our good friends, the bird wizard in the air Slickshot show off.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought that's what we were about to see, but no, that's just an Emberheart Challenger. We're used to seeing that mouse here.
Still a great card.
Yeah, so just swinging in for 4 right away. 4 damage total, 1 from the Swiftspear on turn 1, and then 3 from this follow-up on turn 2. Meanwhile, Tyler's side, the Sultai Splash in the Terror deck, a lot of the times was for some sideboard cards. Most importantly, Nowhere to Run was an important one for this deck because getting rid of the hexproof and ward things so you could this town ad nauseum. Pretty solid. It looks like we are going to wind up getting a little bit of black mana soon because we have the Gloomlake Verge. We don't have the Swamper Island quite yet to access the black mana.
Yeah, I will say, in particular, because the green-black Verge also ended up being primary green make black, it ends up being absolutely perfect for this deck because you just have effectively like non-tutorable basics in the 2 Verges of your 2 primary colors, and then you just happen to have, you know, they make black mana when you just put your swamp in your deck, which very often your player, you will literally have the swamp in your sideboard for when you need it and not even bother with it in the main deck.
All right, so Sinhui here going to be going in with a Lightning Strike to the face, double Prowess triggers, getting Tyler down to 8 altogether, and then following it up with a Hired Claw. So right now there's, what, 4?
I think with one spell, it's lethal.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially because that spell is going to be adding some sort of pump to the power here. We have a Cash Grab at end of turn coming out here from Tyler. So Cash Grab, you think about it in decks like combo style decks. I mean, you're thinking about, you know, like Pioneer Greasefang. You're thinking about like the Abzan Roots deck and things like that. But in here, it fuels the graveyard, so you can not only find something like this up the Beanstalk, but also cast one of your 5/5 potentially this turn.
Yeah, I hope is coming down this turn, because if not, I feel like Tyler's not going to see a turn after that. But it looks like we are signaling playing the Stormchaser's talent, so going to be able to put an Otter token into play, make sure we have at least 1 blocker. Hopefully there won't be any trample coming through, but you know, there is a certain rage that might be coming out from Sunlight.
Yeah, it might be a little monstrous. Although it could be just turning us inside out. The Mono Red version of the deck gets to run a lot more of those pump spells than the Gruul version is running now.
Especially if it's really going in on that prowess style, which, I mean, so far we've definitely seen a more prowess-focused version of the deck. And yeah, straight to combat.
We get a trigger here, so Tyler's going to go down to 7. There's 4 damage, no pump spells or burn spells. And Tyler's going to have to block.
Yep, I mean, this is the correct block, but okay, it looks like we are just pumping up the Hired Claw, so playing a little more conservatively here. And yeah, there's nothing else really.
Oh, we have before damage. Is this at this town?
We have a town coming through. And this is also going to then trade with the Challenger unless we have a spell of our own. And passing back the Hired Claw was also huge there because that was where Sunway invested all of his mana.
Yeah, and just going to have to replay that one after only taking 1 damage here. Does have a follow-up land, though, and a Heartfire Hero as well, so, you know, still pretty scary.
Okay, still pretty mousy, too.
Yeah.
Not full-on prowess.
But that last card in hand looks like it was a land for Sinway, so that's potentially why he was pumping things in.
Yeah.
All right, so big turn here for Tyler. If he can throw something in the way of Sinway's potential top deck burn or prowess triggering spell, then he's going to be smooth sailing, but he doesn't know what we know at this point. So in the tank right here, has a Stormchaser's talent in hand, has that up the beanstalk that was revealed from the cash grab.
I think I also see a Tolarian Terror, so I think worst comes to worst, you can probably Terror and Stormchaser's talent this turn, present 2 blockers at least, and be in a decent spot. Analyze is nice here too. It's gonna put another spell in the graveyard, find us a land. So it's, if you are planning on casting the Terror this turn, it is mana neutral, which is absolutely spectacular. In this deck, you're not doing the tutor for creature as much. You're just mostly trying to, you know, find a land. This deck tends to run Bushwhack as well, and tends to focus more on that as its primary find a land effect because the fight side works really well with 5/5.
All right, so Analyze the Pollen comes in. I mean, I think there's a... Oh, Rona's Vortex was one of the other reasons to be running black, so you can kick it and get basically the entire value from the card. It's also just another bounce spell that this deck... I mean, the deck's already running full-fledged on Summon, as well as this town and big enough, so looks like this is just going to be double terror. All right, that is definitely terrifying.
Yeah, so for those who are uninitiated, Tolarian Terror is it's just a big dumb creature that has a little bit of protection, but it gets to cost a little bit less whenever you have spells in your graveyard, and it looks like we have hit the magic number of 6, so it is fully reduced down to 1 single blue mana.
This is like it's like the Delver of Secrets style like card in the format right now, only it has the body of a Bedlam Reveler. So it's not going to be growing, but it does also have Ward, which makes all of the sort of Witch Stalker's Frenzy shenanigans a lot harder, because that makes the card at minimum cost 3. Oh, and you've got 2 of these on Tyler's side of the battlefield.
Yeah, and it looks like Sunway drew another land. At least this one has a little bit more going to it. I think it was a Rockface Village.
Okay, so you can wind up pumping up your mouse every single turn.
Yeah,
eventually getting there.
I think that's like reasonable enough. It's gonna force Tyler to go on the offensive, because there'll be a point where the mouse is gonna be so big that you're just going to die.
I mean, at this point, so if you have Rockface Village, you play that, you swing in with your Hired Claw, it deals 1 damage, the Hired Claw dies, but then you play the village, activate it on your mouse, the mouse is now 2, Tyler's at 4, and Tyler's in a rough spot to have a bounce spell, otherwise the mouse is going to wind up putting him down to 1 as is.
Yeah, and bounce needs to be the removal. We can't rely on the fight spells to be able to get rid of it, but looks like we are just keeping our creatures safe, and it's funny because Tyler is actually the one who is short on land compared to our our Mono Red Aggro player, which is definitely flooded, unfortunately.
Oh, here comes Beanstalk, so we get to draw a card. What do we get off the top here? Crab would be pretty powerful here, too, because having that Crab to tap down the mouse every turn and tap down the Hired Claw every turn just means
that would be
obnoxious. Instead, we are just going to get Stormchaser's talent being recast here. And we don't have a lot of mana left over, so we can't really bring anything out of our graveyard back quite yet. It is only turn 5, despite the fact that there's 10 power and toughness on Tyler's side and 5 lands on Sinway's side, which is not normal for turn 5 of a mono red deck.
No, this was a bit of an unfortunate curve out from Sinway, but it's still interesting to see how Tyler wants to navigate this, because again, we know it's a land, he doesn't. At this point, though, I'm assuming he can probably kind of put 2 and 2 together. If Sinway's not like swinging a little more aggressively, it's probably not a really impactful action spell. So, but still respecting the red deck as you should, because you know out of nowhere you're gonna get Burst Lightning for 4. Because what is nice is we do have Burst Lightning turned on for a kicker. So just getting Actually, do we think we're just going to block here with the mouse just to have Burst Lightning off the top be lethal?
Yeah, I'll take the 10.
It's potential. Oh no, Sinway just takes 10 here. So at this point,
That is also respectable.
yeah, it is respectable here. Life total is just a resource, and now Sinway knows that like if you have one way to get rid of the otter, there's no blocker potential now from these Tolarian terrors as well. But this does scream Eddymurk Crab.
Yeah, there's almost definitely a removal spell of some kind. Eddymurk Crab just honestly being the other amazing card that makes this deck function. This one unfortunately costs 2 mana, but for 2 mana you also get a tap down effect, which is honestly kind of more important in this situation. Even if you're going to pay, I don't know, we tapped our land so we didn't have to pay any life. I thought we had the Yavimaya Coast untapped.
Oh no. We tapped the Yavimaya Coast for the Beanstalk because that's our
goodness.
colorless mana.
Yeah,
here.
thank goodness.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this in the match where Bismon was playing the Abzan deck. When you have a 3-color deck in Standard, yeah, you have all these Verges and all these great lands to have access to, but you do have to take some damage for it.
And it looks like, I wonder what Sinway drew. I thought I saw another land, but, and whether or not it's another land, we might be, you know.
And most importantly, there was no Eddymurk Crab because this is combat. You have to play that pre-combat. to
Yeah.
knock things down.
Oh, maybe it's town.
This sound?
Yeah, set up your blocks and then bounce them. Set up your blocks and then
Bounce your
bounce
terror?
the mouse because you know the Hired Claw is the one that deals the least damage.
All right, so we're activating Higher Claw here. We did take one already.
Yeah. This is a pretty tense moment for both players. They're trying to navigate this and make sure that they're able to come out the other side with their.
This will put Tyler down to 2.
Oh no! So we are.
This does.
Oh, and it looks like
Go ahead, and then I'll just
pretty
next
smartly,
turn.
Tyler decides to not play a spell here. Had he played a spell, he would have killed the Heartfire Hero and died.
Yeah, Sinway just saying, I guess I'm going to eat 10 this turn, but does that mean Sinway has Stone Cold nothing? Doesn't even keep something back, just has 2 lands in hand and dies.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I think Sinway was trying to bait out a little more, a little bit more out of Tyler to be able to either get the hero to die or something else to happen. But yeah, the terror, Sultai Terror, is continuing to be a terror in the store, and it goes up 1-0. Hopefully, trying to get to that finals match for the big cash prize at the end.
I'm a little surprised there because I'm trying to think. All right, this is like my math breakdown to this. I'm thinking you have the Heartfire Hero at 2. You can pump it up to 3 with the Rockface Village. Is Rock? All right, I need the
Rockface Village is a sorcery.
It's a sorcery, so you can do it on your turn, so you don't have the 4 power for when you block. But you can attack with your other 2 creatures. Trigger gets Tyler down to 5, and then blocking the Hired Claw only deals 1 damage across, but then attacking in with the terrors, flinging the Heartfire Hero means that the Hired Claw is lethal next turn,
Yep.
right? So, but then I guess your worry is just, oh, any bounce spell, I'm dead anyway, so you might as well try to get Tyler to be the one to flinch in that circumstance.
Yeah, it's very much a game of chicken in that case, and Tyler navigated it very effectively and was just like, okay, I'm going to force you to have it, I'm going to react afterwards.
So now we go to sideboards where things do get a little bit more interesting. The red deck doesn't necessarily have a lot of things to deal with big ward creatures. I mean, last time I saw, there was no printing of a nowhere to run in red.
No.
I mean, you do have things that can make the deck a little bit more grindy, but I'm not entirely sure what you're going to be sideboarding in from Sinway's side to kind of deal with what the 5/5s are doing, unless maybe you're putting in some sort of graveyard hate artifacts.
I feel like if Screaming Nemesis isn't already a 4-of, it will become a 4-of, because that card, in this kind of a situation, you're actually just holding it back as literally like, come on, fight me, I dare you.
And then from Tyler's side, any of those bounce spells are going to be kind of doubly effective against any of the mouse package that Sinway is playing. You wind up waiting for him to have... Sinway's the one that has to pull the trigger on all of the pump effects, which you can then just negate by using a 1 mana unsummon or using like a Rona's Vortex or something. But out of the sideboard from Tyler, we do have black in the deck, so we're probably going to wind up seeing the Swamp come in if that's in the sideboard, and then any number of those removal spells if he has them.
Yeah, definitely nowhere to run. Wouldn't be surprised to also see it go for the throat, just because sometimes things get out of range. And yeah, the bounce spells are also very effective, and yeah, I'd be interested to see how Tyler kind of thinks about Beanstalk in this match. There's a lot of Beanstalk decks that tend to trim on Beanstalks against Rule, Mono Red, etc. Just because it's a great card, don't get me wrong, but if you spend your turn 2 just drawing a card, you could die very quickly.
Yeah, I'm also interested here. I don't think it comes in this matchup specifically, but I do think a big boon to this style of deck, the Sultai and Simic Terror decks, is the reprinting of Spell Pierce. This is like 100% the deck that wants that card.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think Tyler had to ship an Oleander.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. Your spells reduce the cost of your big giant dumb creatures, but you still need at least 1 or 2 mana to cast said spells and the creature eventually.
Yeah, and ideally you want at least 1 green mana and an Analyze or Bushwhack, and usually you're fine from there. But yeah, this and Otters are a couple of the few decks in Standard that can actually play 1 land hands and be okay with it. Outside of the aggro house, of course, that can, on a 6, can tend to get away with a pretty solid set of 1-drops on 1.
Yeah, with the way that Sinway drew last game, I'm pretty sure if he kept a 1-land hand, he would have loved what he had there.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had 7 lands by the end of that game. 5 on the battlefield and 2 in his hand.
Oh, no, I was using the old list I had. I didn't update it. I was like, wait a minute.
All right, let's see how this 6 turns out for Tyler. It is nice that Sinway did keep his 7 right off the bat. Red decks tend not to mulligan very well. This one does a little bit better because you have Emberheart Challenger, but you still want to keep your 7 as many times as you can.
Yeah, it's basically the kind of fundamental thing here, especially in Standard, is like, do I have enough lands to cast 2 mana spells? Yes? Keep. Otherwise, I'm going to mulligan a hand that is basically the same hand minus 1 card, trying to find that second land or third hand. It does look like a couple extra mice in hand, though.
Yeah, and we do see some additional information from the Black Splash. That is an Anoint with Affliction coming in. It's really, really good card. Really good card in this matchup because it answers Heartfire Hero particularly well.
Yeah, this Anoint with Affliction was basically, it went away because Nowhere to Run was printed and because the Enduring Vitality Teamer Otters deck kind of went away. This is a big thing that got rid of Heartfire Hero and Enduring Vitality. And then Nowhere to Run got printed, and that not only did that, but it also got rid of Warden Hexproof. So kind of fell to the wayside a little bit, but in this matchup specifically, like you said, it's a house.
Yeah. Getting rid of, again, the Exile is just really powerful, and, you know, it's also really cheap, really efficient, and basically all of Sinway's creatures are going to be 3 mana or less. I doubt Sinway is bringing in a Sunspine Link to set that in the sideboard. So. It's not really the kind of matchup for it. Oh, wow, that is a quick Monstrous Rage coming out.
So we are going to wind up taking 4 damage off of the Monstrous Rage and the Lizard, and then pinging for 1. So Tyler goes down to 15 quite quickly. Oh, we have Bolt Wave in the deck. All right, so Synthwave's just like straight. This is all right. So Ben K called his deck Red Deck Wins, and Sinway called his deck Mono Red Aggro. I'm switching the names here. This is that Red Deck Win style.
Yeah, good old classic. Hit you in the face with a bunch of burn spells. I see a second one in hand too.
Dang. So that makes last game even more of like an anomaly if you're like thinking about like, oh, like this is an outlier. How does that red deck draw so many lands? There, with Bolt Waves in the deck as well, there were so many top decks that could have killed Tyler that game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like,
looks like we are just going to go find our third land drop with a quick analyze, get an Otter in play. Nothing too fancy. Good amount of setup, and at least having a blocker for any hasty non-tramply threats is going to be really good, and I think that's our swamp.
Yep, finds the swamp, so we have all 3 colors of mana, can't get Blood Moon. Not a thing in this format, but mono red deck, thankfully. But just passing the turn back, like you mentioned, there's a Manifold Mouse in hand. It doesn't work with the Hired Claw, but there's Bolt Wave.
There's two Manifold Mice, actually.
Those work well with each other. But now we have this trampling Hired Claw that is currently a 2/3, representing the ability to just run over this otter. Potentially now thinking about, oh, do I want to pump this up? Is Bolt Wave more damage? And Sinway just deciding to go for the attack first. So, ping for 1, 2 damage.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see a pump here.
It's got trample, right? Yeah, I'm not walking.
The Lux, before damage, I'll give it the pump up.
Yep,
Cool.
we do see
I'm
the
just gonna
pump
do this, that
coming
way we know how many
Nice.
counters, because second has link from that. Right?
Oh,
Just
yeah,
keep it
yeah,
at 1,
they're
because I know you gotta remember
okay.
that there's a +1.
Roll
I think it's
token
easier
gets
for me if you just keep it at
+1.
1.
That gets
Okay, cool.
+1,
So, 3.
3, 4. So
And
what
I
is
will
that? Down
pass to
to
you.
8?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, but no follow-up land here from Sinway, so...
Okay, we are... Okay, we are
got
in...
gas.
We're sitting pretty. We just need 2 more damage, and then we have the win in hand.
All right, and one of it's going to come off of if this lizard attacks.
Yeah.
I say if because, oh, okay, we're tapping the island, though, so... Sleight of Hand gets cast, so this town ain't big enough, is gone, but we have to remember we saw that Anoint with Affliction in Tyler's hand, so there is a face-up answer to this lizard.
Yeah, though I don't know if Tyler, especially seeing not a third land drop, I could see Tyler thinking it's a safe window to try and either develop or continue to assemble the engine. But someone could just kind of come out of nowhere, hit you with the Hired Claw, trample over a bit of damage, and then top deck the land for this turn.
Yep. Oh, he's doing it now. Oh, there's also a nowhere to run in hand, so a wealth of answers.
It's 4.
We might.
Yeah, so it's now 0.
Oh no, Tyler miscounting the toughness on the lizard.
Alright, well,
Yeah.
Technically you're on 3, so.
especially when you have the enemy.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Oh, he's gonna tilt swing in with the pumped up otter now too. So Simba goes down to 17. Top deck of a land is lethal here. Monastery Swift Spear.
Isn't terrible because
Bolt Wave you.
yeah, Bolt Wave is gonna pump it up and give you another.
House Trigger, go to combat, 2. For 2. Oh, no. Oh, I do. I forgot, sorry.
I was like, there's still the lizard.
Yeah, we're.
So we're gonna ping with the lizard, and this is lethal.
3. Oh, yeah. There you go.
It is late on a Thursday night. A lot of people have, a grindy, grueling work week. Sometimes we're gonna forget that things untap and all
I
of
have
that.
2 here,
and
1 here.
Yeah.
There's like 3, right?
No, because is it for end of turn or?
No, it's just on the turn.
Oh, I thought it was permanent.
I was thinking the
That's why I
nowhere
was
to
like,
run was a
I was like-
permanent effect. That would be a busted card
I
if
was
it
like, I
was
was
a
messing up
permanent
there.
effect.
I don't think we'd be bouncing it back to hand if it was permanent.
Oh,
I even
heck
told you
yeah.
about the dice.
All
Yeah,
right,
we
so
were
that's
literally
just
just
going to be
talking
game number 2 going over to Sinway in a very funny way, as unfortunately for Tyler,
There's a
like
reason
we're
I said
even
that, 'cause I
Sinway's
was like, I
even
hate
saying,
when
like,
we
oh,
have
I
to
can
look at
just
the
flip this
card and people are gonna
this
forget
die
it.
so you know how much
I was
power
like, let me just
counts
make
this
it
has.
easier
And
for us
Tyler's
to
like, well,
allocate.
I can count the roll, and then immediately miscounts the roll.
Unfortunate, yeah.
I
Especially
just had
when
a-
you
I think I
have
had
the
enough
answer in
compared to
hand too. Like that is kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, but now Tyler gets to be on the play and keeping a strong 7 against a deck that will try to be going as quickly as possible. And now knowing that the deck has much more burn in it as well, can change the types of hands that
I was like, I know
Tyler
it's
is going
coming.
to
He got the
keep.
swap.
If you wind up having some of that interaction on the stack, like Spell Piercer or something in the deck, those may be something that you want to try looking for if you know your opponent is playing Bolt Wave, Lightning Strike, and all these pump spells.
Yeah, because honestly, the countering a burn spell is frankly very, very impactful and important. And I think it's absolutely worth the effort to be able to do, just because that's how they close the game half the time. Their creatures aren't going to scale as well as yours, and you're going to hopefully be able to provide real blockers for quite a while. So yeah.
And then the pushback found me my third
So
land.
everybody's all shuffled up. We'll be resolving mulligans in just a second. No real sideboard changes coming in from either player here, so they're content with the configuration of their decks, even after seeing the burn spell package coming out from Sinway's side. So let's take a quick look at what Tyler has. He should have 20 life here. We see Seed of Hope, good thing to gain some life. Looks like Tyler did want to keep it a 7, but now Sinway is the one mulliganing to 6 on the draw in a matchup where you said you don't really want to be mulliganing as the red deck.
No, I mean, you don't really want to be mulliganing as the red deck in general, but in this case, I mean, there's obvious hands that you need to mulligan. 5 lands, not after game 1. We're not keeping that. No lands, definitely impossible to keep. I think here we're happy with a 1-lander. We're happy with a 1-lander and a 2-lander or a 3-lander.
Ooh, what if our 1 land is colorless?
That'd be worse. Okay, we are on a 5, and unfortunately, it's not impossible to come back from that. Again, especially if you have an Emberheart Challenger.
I'm gonna call you a jinx.
Because that is going to be absolutely huge. It gives you very, very strong card advantage anyway. But yeah, outside of that, we're not drawing a lot of cards in the threat deck.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Soulstone Sanctuary was not going to be what you need to cast your mice and your monstrous rages. But yeah, like you said, 5 cards in the red deck, especially if there's like a single 1 mana interactive. So, ball lightning!
Yeah, Sunray has ball lightning in his deck.
He's got Bolt Wave and ball lightning. Man, I want him to win on 5 without just bringing it to the battlefield.
What?
Yeah. Land pass. Okay, so we found land number 2. That's a good start. We have land number 2. We have ball lightning. We have monstrous rage, I think.
And we have Bolt Wave.
Yeah, start off with Bolt Wave. Doesn't hurt.
I mean, it hurts Tyler.
Well, yeah.
He undoes 2 of the damage.
And it looks like we found our second land drop. That is an Anoint with Affliction that has hit the graveyard. We're not going to be able to cast that, which might be something that Tyler would have hoped to have in hand instead.
So Tyler goes back up to 19. Nowhere to run in the graveyard. Seed of Hope also there. But it does look like that. I mean, we're going to start to develop our board a little bit here. Oh, never mind. I thought there was a Stormchaser's talent. It's just going to be a sleight of hand, so we're developing our hand. There's an Anoint.
Yeah, there's an Anoint. Still no black mana, though, unfortunately. But at least we do have some removal for, you know, whatever the first creature we are playing. Is that turn into? Yeah, this is full prowess red. This is not your typical, like, all-in mouse package deck.
Alright, so Sinway's got a Lightning Strike that's castable, and then everything else requires
kept a burn
creature.
hand. Oh, no.
Yeah, there's Turn Inside Out, Monstrous Rage, Bolt Wave, Lightning Strike, which represent 12 damage of just burn spells and combat damage, but you need a creature. A Heartfire Hero on turn 1 would have been massive. A Monastery Swift Spear would have potentially ended the game as well. But instead, I mean, you're on a mulligan to 5. What else can you do? You kept the best hand possible, and every single top deck creature is live with all those pump spells.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think one of the lands that we drew was a. I think I saw it as the village, which means that we can start giving haste to our 1-drops next turn.
Wow, that's sad.
And that is a mill. We're gonna find our land drop. Unfortunately, we do lose a town
I may have
and
kept
a
another
beanstalk
one
in
in.
the process.
Yeah, that's a lot, but we're putting a ton of cards into our graveyard.
Lots of spells.
potentially, Yeah.
I'll just hit you for 3.
All right, to the face.
Oh, that was a main phase cash grab as well.
Yeah. I mean, you need to hit the land drop. Like, you lose when you miss your land drop.
Case of the
Case.
It's case time. We are going to be solving the case of the Crimson Pulse, which is discard and draw. So this hopefully finds us our creature, but instead it finds us a creature land.
I mean, technically a creature, right? So we can't play that right now, but we discard one of our pump spells, we draw 2 cards, and then eventually, if we have no cards in hand, we can solve this case to start kind of having like the... There was an old saga from like Dominaria that basically did the same thing. You just restock your hand at the end of your turn, but you have to get rid of your hand to do so.
Yeah, unfortunately this is going to be a bit slow, but I think the case is going to be solved pretty quickly because next turn we're going to have probably Soulstone. End of turn, activate Soulstone. Oh, or just play, Emberheart Challenger existing is also good. So
Pretty solid.
Yeah. And yeah. I think Sunway's kind of thinking through, do we just want to pump Challenger? No, we are going to be going all in with this Monstrous Rage that is in hand. Which means that as long as we have a play off of the draw step next turn, we are going to be on
3, 4, 5. Yeah. Flash a crab, then 2.
Oh, but Eddymurk Crab comes in as well, just already having 5 things in the graveyard.
That is absolutely rough.
That's huge. Taps down Sinway's only way to attack so far. At least it's only going to be for 1 turn, and that will potentially give Sinway, as long as Sinway doesn't top deck a land, plays the Soulstone Sanctuary, plays the Monstrous Rage, gets everything out of hand, can solve that case, but now you're dealing with damage on Tyler's side.
Yeah, and now the Sultai deck is the beatdown here, just because, you know, circumstance. And what do we find?
A land.
Not a land. Not a land.
Oh, no.
Not the flood again. Oh, this is all of our red mages are unfortunately crying a tear in solace with Sunway here.
I mean, he had a game where only 2 lands was all he needed to win the entire game.
Yeah.
But now with multiple lands in hand, plays out the second village, has the ability to pump the mouse twice. One of those pump ups will trigger Valiant to find the top card of the library.
Yep, and it looks like we are trying to see if we have something else. Ooh,
that's pretty good.
Frenzy's that's gonna hit a crab, and that's gonna hit a crab pretty hard.
We gotta attack in order for that to happen, though.
Yes, and but there's 3 mana up, so this could spell crab number 2.
Move to combat?
Looks like we are heading to combat, and there is nothing. We have attacks declared, so that Witchstalker's Frenzy has been reduced.
Now the other thing though is that a key part of Witchstalker's Frenzy, which I'm constantly reminded about while I am just grinding my dailies in Arena, is that Witchstalker Frenzy doesn't care who's attacking.
Yep.
So we could have also done this on Tyler's turn, just there's more open mana when that happens.
All right, and it looks like we do have a bounce coming out from a town, and we are resetting the tap-down Eddymurk Crab.
Oof.
That's rough, and I feel like in this case, it's the correct answer. Usually you're resetting your Stormchasers and keeping your big creature in play, but yeah, when you're able to reset your tap-down effect and it's only costing 2 mana, that's pretty potent.
Yeah, so this town bounces the crab, bounces the mouse, most importantly, making that case of the Crimson Pulse look like it's never going to be solved for
Yeah, if everything keeps going back into Sinway's hand, he's never going to be empty-handed. And I wouldn't be surprised if when we have enough mana, we assemble the town loops. That way we can specifically make sure Sinway never gets to the end step with a card.
Oh yeah, when you hit the town loop at this point, you are never going to be turning back from it. Actually, interesting here. Going to maybe opting to get the Analyze the Pollen or this. Oh, okay, gets the Seed of Hope.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so he has to tap 5 mana to activate that. So
No,
maybe...
he's just using the Seed of Hope right away.
Oh, okay. I say might be just trying to look to find the land to keep continue going with those loops.
Sure.
Yeah, we did get we are going to be swinging in for 4, so we are chipping away slowly. We are at 9.
Shield's down this turn though.
Yeah, this could be the turn that we are able to turn it around. And a Heartfire Hero, give it haste.
Heartfire Hero gets haste. We have the Emberheart Challenger as well. There's a Monstrous Rage in hand. It's not going to be enough to be lethal, but it could be enough to put Tyler in a precarious position.
It's going to put Tyler in a hole if I have anything to think about here. Because here comes the Emberheart Challenger next. We're probably going to... Oh, we tapped our mana wrong. Okay. All right. Homie move. We're going to be able to reset our mana. Again, locals. It's been a long week. Everyone's understanding.
I'd say otherwise you're not going to be able to play the Monstrous Rage on top of this because that village, unfortunately, does only work for colored mana on creatures.
Yeah, and I can see actually casting the Rage because we don't really need the card off of the Emberheart Challenger. I can see the Rage just coming down on the Heartfire Hero. But it looks like we're signaling it's actually coming down on the Challenger.
Yeah, I'll do this.
Alright.
Challenger.
Yep, targeting the Challenger. Then it's going to trigger Valiant again, so we're going to lose the top card of our library. But this gets us empty-handed.
Yeah, 6 because of the prowess.
Yes, exactly.
And then 2 over here. And sorry, 1 last trigger here. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, that's fine.
That's
Get a land out of here. I don't need it.
Here.
And then 6 here.
This guy.
All right, and wow, this turned the corner pretty quickly. One nice explosive turn. You know, I guess the 6 mana was important to make this play happen.
Yeah, I guess so. But was the 6 mana for the red deck, not the mana for the Beanstalk deck that we thought was going to be wanting to bounce like this Towns and loop that stuff. But now, did Simway not solve his case?
I mean, there is the solve trigger isn't really.
2
I think
for beans.
Did we declare a trigger solved? Not sure. We should have. Anyway, Case of the Crimson Pulse, when it is solved, gives you an additional 2 cards on your upkeep, which means you have 3 cards in your hand at the start of your turn, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, so, okay, so, because we have little tokens that say whether the case was solved or not. Maybe the players are not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe the players aren't sure if they're over there, but that's what I'm thinking. I was like, oh, if we don't solve the case, he's not going to wind up drawing 3 cards this turn and potentially having the win.
All right.
And I say Tyler also going. He has the Eddymurk crap in hand, so we know about
my
that.
hand. Yeah. Draw 2.
Okay, so yeah, the case was solved.
Yeah. We acknowledge that the case was solved. We just don't have the token for it. Okay, cool. I'm assuming 3 cards can assemble a lethal from 9 with these 2 creatures on board, unless it's a really, really bad set of cards. We do actually have, worst comes to worst, power up Soulstone Sanctuary and pump up the mouse, and I think that's still close to lethal.
All right, so there is an Eddymurk crab, though. So that's going to be tapping down 2 things, but it'll come into play tapped. But I believe there is a Manifold Mouse in Sinway's hand off the top there. So we can give the Manifold Mouse haste. That'll, whatever gets double striked is going to have to get tapped down. But the tap down effect doesn't have. Oh, sorry, that was an Emberheart Challenger. But the thing is the tap down effect has to happen before any sort of attackers are declared. So at this point in time, Tyler needs to, okay, there is a Manifold Mouse, cool. But we can't give everything haste if we tap down our Rock Face villages.
I think here we're putting 3 threats.
Okay, we Offspring.
Yeah, we're putting 3 threats, and we're gonna be. I'm assuming we're going to probably put 1 trigger on the
hero and the big one.
Hero and 1 on the new challenger. So that way, all of them are reasonable threats. You're gonna have a 3/3, a 2/2 with double strike, and 6 damage coming in from that.
No! Pummel lightning!
Now move to declare. Before declares?
Okay, so there's going to be a crab that comes down. So we can tap down 2 things.
I'm assuming here for sure one of them is the Heartfire Hero. And probably the double striker.
And I'll draw from Beanstalk as well.
Sure.
We do have a Beans draw here, all the value coming through, and at least we're going to get in for 3 here, and we have chump blockers back, so that's reasonable. But if there is, what is it? It's going to be, if you have 2 spells in hand, 2 bad spells in hand, you're fine. And we also don't have a solved second. We haven't leveled up this other talent.
I know where to run the Manifold Mouse.
Okay,
We get
that's
rid of
kind
one of
of
the blockers. Yeah, this is scary here because we have to block the crab, and then any 2 spells is dead. Ooh, this is tense. Oh, this got real close with those top decks. Oh, and a bushwhack!
Bushwhack, GG, fight.
And Simway says GG.
Oh man, that
Tyler's
recovery on a
fighting.
mull to 5 though.
That would, a mulligan to 5. As time in the round is declared as well. Mulligan to 5 from Sinway, but it's going to be Tyler in the Sultai Terror deck advancing to 3-0 at Super Standard, and Tyler is going to be fighting in the last round for the lion's share of the bonus prize pool money.